Hi, my name is Connor Johnson, and for this assignment, I interviewed a principal investigator at the McKnight Brain Institute, Dr. Kevin Wang, and he is a program director for the Department of Psychology, the Department of Emergency Medicine, and he's involved with a lot of leadership activities around the globe, really, when it comes to raising awareness for traumatic brain injury, as well as using biochemistry to find the actual molecular processes that lead to CTE or chronic traumatic encephalopathy from traumatic brain injury. So I chose Dr. Kevin Wang because I actually researched at a lab that he runs. He's not someone that I've gone to see very often. In fact, I'd only talked to him once before this because he runs multiple labs and he has to spend a lot of time both running the logistics of having a lab, which he actually has to spend a lot of time out of the lab doing those things, such as securing grants for the lab and everything. And he also teaches a class, an introductory class on traumatic brain injury at UF. And I chose him because I want to be a medical doctor in the future. I hope to go to medical school. I don't really know my route yet. I'm kind of interested in emergency medicine from becoming an EMT. And I was really interested by the fact that he is so heavily involved in emergency medicine around the country, as well as the Department of Emergency Medicine at UF, College of Medicine. Um, and I felt like the type of leadership that he would embody would be something similar that I would want to emulate or at least build my own leadership off of as a doctor because I feel like it has a lot of the same logistics. For instance, he has to lead a group of people that have the same PhD as him, a PhD in biochemistry. They're in the same specialty, and a lot of them actually have around the same amount of experience. So I feel like that's kind of a challenge in its own when you have people who are on the same exact level as you, pretty much in their careers and their education, and you still are their leader. And I feel like that presents its own challenge. And I think that that's something that I would run into being a medical doctor, leading at some point a group of doctors who might have the same specialty as me, or even if they have a different specialty, we're still all MDs. We might be the same age and might have the same experience, but I might have to be a leader of people on the same level as me in the future. And I think that I wanted to learn about the ways that he approaches that so that I could have that thought process for myself. Additionally, he also has to bring in PhD students and he's a mentor for them. He teaches them and he leads them and develops them into possibly becoming their own leaders, leaders of certain projects, and then maybe eventually becoming principal investigators themselves. And then those PhD students at the same time have to mentor people like me, undergraduate students. So really, the reason why I never saw Dr. Wang around as much is because while I had a PhD student as my mentor, Dr. Wang was the mentor to my mentor. So they got more interaction. I mostly had interaction with my mentor. But I really wanted to learn how he handles that, mentoring people, and then specifically mentoring them to be mentors themselves, and then become mentors of PhD students themselves if they become principal investigators. Because I think that that mentorship is also very important, and and being a medical doctor because you'll have people come who are just out of medical school, maybe starting their residencies, and maybe you're their mentor during their residency, or maybe even when they're out of their residency and they just don't have very much experience. You can be a mentor for them and guide them through the field and help them along the way, and also help them develop themselves into someone who can be a possible mentor in the future. Um, so aside from that, when I first approached him for the interview, or when I first got there and began to start the interview, what I got from him was or just from his body language and how he talked to me, was he was very inviting person. He wasn't stern at all. I felt very welcome as soon as I started talking to him. Very seemed like a very kind person, an inclusive person, someone who can really get down onto the level of people around them. And I immediately got that idea from just how he was talking to me, and it made me kind of already start to think that he might be the type of leader who really tries to get on the social level of his followers and really bring together the camaraderie of the group and have everybody's trust basically, and basically just have a relationship with them so that he can lead them more effectively. Um, Also, a little side note, small side note. Um, his office was extremely organized. His desk was extremely organized. He had books, textbooks organized very well that he had actually written himself. So I got from that that he was a very experienced person. And then on the from the textbooks and then that he wrote, and then on the organizational level, I got, just in general that he was a very organized person. And I think that that's actually something that's extremely important in leadership, having structure and being organized. But key characteristics that he discussed with me, he really gave me a good rundown of from his very start of becoming a leader when he was an undergrad in Hong Kong, how he was the leader of a chemistry um, team, basically, or I guess like a club, chemistry club. And that's where he said it started with him. And then he brought me all the way up through his graduate degree, his PhD, starting to work at UF, and then eventually becoming a principal investigator for the lab, and then also becoming head of or becoming a program director for the Department of Psychiatry and Emergency Medicine. And and what I really got from key characteristics is how he really values how he grows as a leader, leadership development basically, and he embodies teachings along the way when he's had mentors. I asked him about his mentors, and he was able to name multiple ones and other leaders that he looked up to and tried to embody some of the things that they had. And an example of that was his PhD mentor always told him that adversity builds character, and that's something that he still resonates with to this day, and it's something that he tells his PhD students. Additionally, he worked with a leader that brought together a bunch of principal investigators. So again, this group of people who are same level, same specialty, all this stuff, same level of experience, and led them in a very effective way, very inclusive, and didn't lead them authoritatively. And he really appreciated that. So he really tries to incorporate that when he's working with his actual PhD researchers in the lab. And that was something that he really emphasized. Also, he really emphasized the mentorship himself. He loves having PhD students come in. He loves those PhD students having undergrad students come in. He tries to be mentors for all of them. My perception of him after the interview was that he was very inclusive. He wanted to incorporate the whole group. Whenever an experiment went wrong, he didn't come down on people. He didn't say that they were wasting the materials that we had. He tried to get everybody to think about what could have gone wrong with experiments, and just being very inclusive and not coming down on people, only using authority when absolutely needed, otherwise building a good group cohesiveness, and he very much kept emphasizing group camaraderie. So some key statements, just to refresh on some of the things that we talked about: the adversity building character, the embodying camaraderie, the really appreciating the leadership development, and knowing that you can always be better, and learning from experiences and building off of things that you learned in the past, and realizing that even things that are working very well can be built on, and you can be better than what you ever thought that you could be. And it really inspired me to, in the future, have good mentorship, and wherever my path takes me, group cohesiveness, camaraderie, and really developing myself as a leader over time, and taking all of my experiences, whether they're alike or not, and using them to build my character over time. Um, and that's about what I got out of the interview. Thank you.